Hi. In case the cross is sticking in my head, as I suspect it is, I think figuratively that would be a very good thing. Back to Jesus-directed prayer. What is needed in life for ourselves and those we pray for to have a lifestyle that rightly hallows or honors God's name? What kind of things do we need to live a lifestyle that prioritizes His kingdom and the advancement and that prays for that and thinks that way? Do we see material, physical needs as separate from spiritual? God's honor and the advancement of His kingdom, is that a spiritual thing, but is that unrelated to physical needs? How do we pray for physical needs in a spiritual, biblical way instead of carnally and selfishly? We do this by praying as Jesus directed, orienting our needs and praying for others' needs to be oriented under God's fame and glory, His hallowed name, and His kingdom purposes. Jesus said here in Matthew 6, 9 through 11, "This then is how you should pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven." And then after this orientation, give us today our daily bread. So we come to the request for physical, material need. And not just that, but including that. So that God's name and His purposes are over our physical needs. In that way, it's spiritual to pray for physical needs. So Jesus-directed, God-oriented prayer puts physical needs lower. In priority, they are under God's honor and glory. In purpose, they are for His honor and for His kingdom. In scope, they enlarge our thinking and should enlarge our prayers as we think about the advancement of God's kingdom. In motive, this corrects bad motives, which James addresses in James 4, 1 through 3, where he says, "What causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from your desires that battle within you? You want something but don't get it. You kill and covet." And by the way, that's hyperbole, going back to what Jesus said about hate and anger in Matthew 5. He says, "You kill and covet, but you cannot have what you want. You quarrel and fight. You do not have because you do not ask God. When you ask, you do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures." Jesus-directed prayer corrects that. It corrects our motives and, of course, relates our physical needs to God's glory. It's really neat to see David practice this when he's in need in the depths of despair and depression. In Psalm 38 and 9, he says, "To you, O Lord, I called. To the Lord I cried for mercy." And he remembers, he said, "What gain is there in my destruction, in my going down to the pit? Will the dust praise you? Will it proclaim your faithfulness?" See, when we pray as Jesus directed, we can have the opportunity to see those who think that life is made up of many compartments, realize that there's a greater purpose, and that's God's glory and knowing Him and advancing His kingdom. And wouldn't you like to come out of the compartments that we have? I still tend to compartmentalize things and think, well, I can't pray for that. That's selfish. Or, that's worldly. Well, if we're really thinking of God's glory and God's kingdom, some of those things we find He's planted there. Those desires, they go with dreams He put there. And sometimes we just go, oh, that's just impossible. That's just too big. But no. If it's for God's honor and glory, if it's for the advancement of His kingdom, we can pray big things. Wouldn't you like to pray with confidence for the needs that you realize or the possibilities of what could be for His kingdom? Anyway, for God's honor, for His kingdom, we should really pray for daily bread. God bless you. We miss you.